Hello friends, welcome to a new video on this book. So okay, as you might have seen by the title now, this is the video where I talk about my favorite books of 2020. And trust me, this was no easy choice for me because there are lots of books that I really loved in 2020. But I managed to get down to eight books. 8 favorite books. This was so hard. You have no idea. But okay, let's do it. First book I have here is These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. So here's the thing. I am not a very big fan of sci-fi because I feel like it's very difficult for an author to nail sci-fi. I love science fiction movies because I think there's something that I can imagine in my head, but there are some books that the author fail to incorporate some issues inside of the book, but this book had it all. I remember reading this a few years ago. I had a huge deja vu while reading this book. And I absolutely love this. I need a second and the third because this is a trilogy, and this was so good. It's like, you know that movie Treasure Planet by Disney? It reminds you a lot of this book. Why? Because this book is set in space, and there's this ship that is navigating through space, and there's this daughter of a governor called Lilac, and she's super duper famous. And there's this guard called Tarver, I didn't remember his name, who's super impressed by her, and she's super impressed by him too. But there's like something that happens in that ship, and everyone in it dies, and the ship collapses on another planet that now no one remembers the name, because it is really unknown. It was never known to anyone. And these two have to survive together. And in the cover, as you can see, Lilac has a huge, pretty green dress. And this happens in the book. I was so intrigued and loved this book. This was a 5-star read for me. I think everyone should read it. Seriously. Not because it's sci-fi and most people don't read sci-fi at all, but because this has a bit of everything. It has romance, it has monsters, it has newly science facts that most people wouldn't think of. It has like a bit of fantasy inside. It has everything. Guys, please read. The book I have here is Red, White, Royal Blue by Casey McKinston. I cannot even begin to tell you how much I adored this book. It was amazing. Like, the two main characters, Alex and Henry, are made for each other. They're beautiful together. They're so cute. And this is an LGBT book. And I think it's really important for us to read about these books because not many people support LGBT characters or really the LGBT community, really. And having authors that can really nail a book like this makes us feel like LGBT community can be supported and can grow strength. And I think everyone should know and everyone should support them because they're not different from straight people. There shouldn't even be a layer. There shouldn't even be people saying, oh, there goes a gay guy or there goes a lesbian. You shouldn't even say that. There just goes a person. There just goes a girl or a boy or whatever they want to be. This book made me feel that way. Made me feel like there shouldn't be any stereotypes. And it's amazing that this happens. And like, if you're into a really fluffy love story, 5-star read too. This book I own here is The Magnolia Sword by Cherry Thomas. I read this book in the last days of 2020 and it surprised me a lot. This is a 5-star read for me too. Why? This is such an underrated book. This talks about the story of Mulan. It's a retelling, and I just feel like everyone should read this because if you like the Mulan movie and if you have watched the Mulan live action and you were like, that wasn't a very good live action, and I think they should have incorporated some other things and stick to the original movie. Read this book. You'll want this into a movie. Trust me. It was so good. And like here, the main character, Famula, is passing as her sibling who has passed away, and is Famu Yang, and she goes to the army not because her father was supposed to go in the original movie, as we've seen it, but because she wants to prove that she can be a girl and fight, and there she meets the prince. It's not a prince, obviously, but in every fairy tale, the princess has a prince. So she meets her prince here, and he knows she's a girl, and he still treats her like a boy because he doesn't want her cover to be discovered. And oh my god, their story is so cute, guys! You need to read this, please! And there's a lot of Chinese vocabulary here, so I had to look a few words online, but totally worth it. I just thank my boyfriend for gifting me this for Christmas because this was amazing. This book I have here is Little Woman by Louisa May Alcott. Here's the thing. For classics, I love classics. I love reading classics, but it takes me so long to finish one. Trust me. This was one of the best classics I've ever read, if not the best. It was a 5-star read for me, and this has so good winter, autumn-y, Christmassy vibes. Like, I am going to read this at least once a year because it was so good. And the main characters, Joe, Beth, Amy, it's Amy, right? Yes, and Meg. Oh, so good. They're so sweet. The 4 of them, they show us how family should work. There shouldn't be any fights. There shouldn't be anything regarding power or destruction, really. This shows us the power of family and friendship, and there are lots of love triangles in this book, like Joe and Amy and another character that I'm not going to spoil. And after you read this book, you have to watch the 2019 movie adaptation with Emma Watson. I can't even begin to say how much I loved her as Meg. Like, my favorite character is Joe, and I really love the actress who does Joe in the live action, but it was so good. I swear to God, you have to read this. If you haven't read Little Woman before, this is your time. Go! Guys, the next book I have here is a dark academia book. And I think many people will know what book it is because I talked about it a lot. And it is Nine House by Leigh Bardugo. And Leigh Bardugo became my favorite author the moment I read Six of Crows. So I had to pick up this book. Here's the thing about this book. When I first got into this book, I thought it was really boring because, like, the premise is really good. They talk about a school that is like in Yale, and it has like 9 societies inside the 9th house, and these societies are all full of magic and ghosts and killings, murder, everything. And Galaxy, who is the main character, and they call her Alex, she's not supposed to be part of one of the societies because she's too young and she has been through a lot of trauma before, and she connects with ghosts like no one else, and she unravels all the mysteries in the book, but it begins really slow. So that's why I was really bored in the beginning of the book, but like from the 105th page forward, god damn it, it was so good I couldn't put it down. Guys, if you want to start in the dark academia genre, this is a good option. And besides this one, you should try A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I know everyone has a weird opinion about this book. And I know, okay, the first time I was reading this book, I was like, what the fuck is happening? But it was actually very good, for me at least. I enjoyed every bit of this book, every character, every monster, every bit of magic, every villain, everything. It was good. These two are your babes. Trust me. Okay, we're approaching the end for the best book of 2020, but I still have two others that I really want to talk about. And the first one is House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin Craig. So here's the thing about this book. This is a horror story, a horror retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, and the story is fabulous, phenomenal, amazing. Oh my god, this author nailed this book. So, at first I was really scared, and I still am scared when I think about this book a lot because I'm a chicken. Really? But the main character, Annalee, makes me think of Annalise. No, that's not her name. Genevieve. Annalise is from Barbie, Princess and the Pauper. But makes me think of Genevieve, that is the main character of the Barbie 12 Dancing Princesses movie, and she is super sweet and reckless at the same time, and she falls in love with this guy. He's so dreamy! He's one of my book boyfriends, I don't care. But like, what happens is they move to a mansion with like sort of stepmother of them, and everything happens in that mansion. It's like a curse in the family, because like 4 of the sisters die, and their ghosts are tormenting the house and tormenting Annalee and the youngest sister too. But they're not actually ghosts. They're like visions. Someone is putting those visions into their minds, and it's so creepy. And so many things happened there. And right now I'm home alone, so I'm kind of scared. God. And like, there's this scene where Annalee goes to the bathroom and she sees her dead sister. I think it's the decapitated one. And she's lying in the bath, and the water is black, and it's like pushing her down. Oh my god, it's so scary. But it was so good, and it was the first horror book that I really enjoyed, so I want to try more horror books this year, and I really recommend you all to read it. It's a 5-star for me too. Like, all the books that I'm showing here are 5 stars, and babes, you have to read this, please. Make yourself a favor. Alright, this is the last, but not least, book before the best book of the year 2020. And this is AKATAR. Of course, I was going to bring AKATAR here. Feyre and Rise in this book. Oh, so good! I mean, I can't even. Everyone's chapter 55. Too good. Like, Tamlin is a total biatch, and Yanthe is like the worst character in this book. I hate her so much. And like, Rise in her circle, Amren, Caitian, Azriel, and Queen Moore, on point. Sarah J. Maas, you nailed this book. Guys, like, there's this scene where Feyre is in the Court of Starlight. I think that's the scene. Yeah, and they're gazing at the stars, her and Rise, and I'm like, I think I might cry. It was so good. It's so good. I love this book. I'm actually thinking of painting the edges blue to match the cover, and I'm going to do the same with the AKATAR version too. But as the AKATAR is red, I'm going to do red edges. Guys, my god, I cannot wait for A Court of Silver Flames, because I cannot wait for Nest and Caitian. I don't know if it's Caitian or Cassian. Sorry. Anyway, guys, you should read this, okay? Do yourselves a favor. If you haven't read it, if you haven't read AKATAR before, go for it. It has everything. It has fantasy, love, smut, spice, wars, blood, magic, everything. And now, the award for the first best book of 2020 is... drumroll, please! Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. What did you expect? Leigh Bardugo nailed this book. I mean, it has everything I like. Everything. It has like this crew of 6 criminals, and they have tattoos and blades, and they bet on things, and they fight each other, and it's like, wow! When I was reading the first time, I saw Kraz as Jim from Treasure Planet, the Disney movie. I couldn't stop seeing him as him. And Ine is Logan Loris for me. I don't care what you have to say. She played Sasha in the Bratz movie in 2006 or 5, I'm not sure. And oh my god, so good. So good. Guys, please do yourself a favor and read this, and read the Crooked Kingdom, because I'm going to read it this year because I'm ready to cry. Everyone says I'm going to cry as fuck, and I am not going to read it now because I'm finishing Wicked Fox this week, but I am going to read Crooked Kingdom. I am. Guys, you have no idea. It's so good. So good. Okay, you might think you reached the end of the video, but I want to give some honorable mentions to some other books that I've read during 2020, and the first honorable mention is, yes, The Handmaid's Tale. I read this first for a English oral that I had with my friend Vanessa, but as I was reading it, I was really enjoying the story. I wasn't expecting to like it so much, and there's these Netflix series about it. If you don't want to read the book, you can actually watch the series, even though for me the series wasn't as good as the book. But we'll get there. Another honorable mention is Undercover Princess by Connie Glynn. I cannot get tired of talking about this book because this book reminds me a lot of Barbie Princess and the Pauper, and it is LGBT too. The author explained that the main character, Lottie, is LGBT. She doesn't know if she is in love with Elle or her bodyguard. So guys, you're going to love this. It's middle grade and you'll read like in 2 or 3 hours. Trust me. The last honorable mention goes to A Place Called Perfect by Lena Dungan. This book is a middle grade as well, and it has, whoopsie, it has a little bit of horror twist, but super light. It's like just a little bit, and this is perfect for Halloween, if you want to, my opinion. I haven't read this in Halloween. I've read it like in June or July, and I really liked it. This tells the story of Violet, and she goes to this town called Perfect, and as the name says it, this town is perfect in every way. There's no drugs, there's no smoke, there's no pollution, there's nothing. Every people is perfect, every people is welcoming, everything. Until she finds out that the owners of this town actually separated it from the normality of that town, where there lived drugs and people who were homeless, everything. And there's this boy who is only called Boy because he doesn't remember his own name, and he visits her and takes her to the no man's land to know what's happening. And her father is kidnapped. Everything happened so quickly, but it was so good and so well explained and so detailed. This one is for you. Now you really reached the end of this video. Please let me know if you have read any of these books, and leave a thumbs up and subscribe, please. It's very important for me because I was so afraid of starting this channel, and I was so afraid that no one would like it because I am not English native, as I explained in my first video. I am Portuguese, so my vocabulary is not the best, and sometimes I stumble upon the words, but I hope you really like it, and I hope you help me build a community in this booktube channel. So without further ado, I'll see you guys next week.